So good evening, everybody. I must thank Sir for including me in his, Master IC. This is a pleasure to be here, and with so many important talks here, I'm sure we'll all be able to learn a lot more at the end of this session. I will be speaking on evolving retinal imaging techniques. That's rather a vast topic. I'm going to try to quickly go through a couple of them actually because it's impossible to cover all of them. No financial disclosure. So three main things that I would be talking about today, which has evolved so much over the time, is ultra wide field imaging, multicolor imaging, and Octa. These are some things that we use in our day-to-day practice. Coming first to ultra wide field imaging, so we have the slit lamp giving us 90 degrees. Then we have the 30 degrees indirect, the 45 degrees with our regular fundus cameras, and then we have wide field on giving us up to 100 degrees, and finally the ultra wide field up to 200 degrees. So this was the revised classification by the International Wide Field Study Imaging Study Group, which showed us, what actually the ultra wide field covers, where we're able to see anterior to the vortex mean and all the four quadrants. So it describes imaging up to the periphery in a single capture. Traditional retinal imaging does not offer this complete view. We need to at least get 4 to 9 image montages, and they're usually limited to the area, around the posterior pole. And wider field cameras, therefore, offer increased visibility, and this helps us to document over 80% of the retina in a single capture. As you can see here, there is just one, there is a montage here which is showing, and you can see there's so much of overlap and there is loss of sometimes even detail compared to the ultra wide field imaging. And here we're seeing some other lesions and conditions that have been montaged together, and we can miss out some important findings. Some more images again of montaging and just of the posterior pole. So if you could just get all of it in one view, it would definitely be advantageous. Now, how are the advantages as far as ultra wide goes? It can be taken through most of the cataracts and vitreous opacities, also the newer devices. Even in non-mydriatic pupils, even through 2 mm pupils, we've been able to get fair amount of details. It's fast, it's comfortable and convenient for most of these patients. They have multiple imaging modalities as well, and you can use overlay to compare and monitor eye health. Also, images are available for immediate review. We don't need to wait for any processing, and also a good patient education tool for most of us. So this is how an ultra wide field image looks. It also has FAF, where we can use fundus autofluorescence and green light laser and visualization of the RP changes as well. So these are some of the images that have been provided, but then quite useful in day-to-day practice also, especially when you're looking at the peripheral retina. This is a picture of a choroidal melanoma. Now, some other examples in retinal diseases, especially in diabetic retinopathy, although it predominantly affects the posterior pole, we do know that periphery is very much involved, and that could be missed with standard imaging. So this is one patient where we've imaged and seen the progression over time. Though the patient had been well lasered, we can see how the disease has become extensive, and subsequently with treatment and surgery, how he has improved now. Other vascular diseases also can be very well imaged. Peripheral ischemia and neovascularization, you can use ultra wide field angiography to detect it. These are some other images that show the severe extent. This is a patient with hypertensive, choroidopathy, malignant hypertension patient whom we could image very well. Inflammatory diseases also, just when it's beyond the posterior pole, we do get a lot of visibility here. You can see this is pre and post laser, how the disease resolution occurs. I find it very useful to show peripheral retinal degenerations to our patients before treatment, because they do tend not to believe you when you say you have this tiny hole or this tear that can give rise to detachment, and then there is this factor where they can understand why this particular treatment is being done. This is a patient with a reg Gardy where you can see clearly, and also here pre and post laser to show them that we actually did. Sometimes they say, doctor, it just took about 10 minutes. Did any treatment actually happen? AMD beyond the retinal, beyond the posterior pole also can be imaged here. These are some of the patients with peripheral PCVs, with PSCR also post-treatment. We are able to demonstrate response to treatment. This is a posterior pole massive hemorrhage with migration of the blood inferiorly and subsequent follow-ups as well, the scarring. Important in pediatric retinal diseases, sometimes it's impossible to capture it in a single take. So this does help with ultra wide field. We're showing the different pathologies here, some dystrophies as well. These are some congenital anomalies, and like I mentioned, dystrophies are good to document here for progression as well. So enhanced resolution, shorter image processing time, faster image acquisition, ease of image duplication manipulations if need be for any purpose, possibilities of transmission through electronic route, better acquisition size with cataract, and like I mentioned, pediatric patients, very small pupil, uncooperative patients, it is good. And FA and ICG and FAF is already enabled in some of these devices. But it is difficult to precisely measure these images. Sometimes artifacts are common, pseudo color and optos, and the cost of acquiring is high. Going on to multicolor imaging, I'll have to rush through because there are a lot of slides here. We do have the multiple, lasers here that we can get information from the difference. With blue reflectance, we get the superficial, then green, and the deeper through the red reflectance. Here's the epiretinal membrane seen beautifully, some drusen, choroidal folds, vitromacular traction. Here, the comparison between the fundus and the confocal multicolor, where you can see such good detail. Ischemic maculopathy also can be very well visualized, very similar to the FFA. It identifies the level of the lesion, topographical information. We have blue roll in hazy media, subtle lesions, and functional information also, and all of this non-invasively. So some more examples here of the ERM and how well it can be delineated topographically. You can mark it out so well as to the extent of the lesion. Also, with color fundus imaging being today's standard, I think there is a possibility that multicolor could be tomorrow's standard. Now, some of the policies are it does take a longer time to fixate artifacts again, and sometimes we get something called as ghost artifacts with underage pupils. Now, going on to Octa, we've seen a rapid evolution, and we're very, very happy from, is Octa actually required to? Yes, we do use Octa in our day-to-day practice. We have seen good evolution. There are different machines using different algorithms. Just coming to some of the recent advances, this is the Plex Elite, where we're getting, up to 12 millimeter scans beyond what we're seeing. And we're also able to montage these images to better diagnose and treat and monitor our patients. This is quickly one patient with BRVO on the Spectralis Octa. It's beautiful where you can see the 3D imaging and the non-perfusion areas as well. This is another patient with a type 2 CNV where if you see, we have used FA, ICGA and multicolor Octa, where the 3D nature actually shows us the depth of the lesion here very, very well. So this is limited to the posterior pole as of now. It is also dependent on the speed of the blood flow. Learning curve is very high in this, and also, manual segmentation is needed. And as we all know, Octa is fraught with artifacts, which we have to find ways to overcome. Some of the functional OCTs that are in the process, the Doppler OCT, and this is a polarization sensitive OCT. Our center is also, building one, and I'm hoping to present this in our future meeting sometime. Thank you so much.